Hi friends, it's Mr. Alex from Adams Memorial Library, and I'm back for another awesome Art Attack project. So if you've got our Art Attack kit for friends who are ages 11 and up, then be sure to grab the supplies that I'm about to show you, because this week we are going to be making a paper circuit anglerfish. And if you don't have one of our kits, that's okay too, because you can always follow along with supplies from home. In order to make our anglerfish paper circuit, we're going to need just a few things. First, if you have our kit, we're going to need this bag here, and in this bag we have a couple of things. First, we have our battery. We have this copper tape, and we have one LED that looks just like this. Then we also are going to need a blue sheet of paper or cardstock, a silver marker, this simple circuit template, a pair of scissors, a hole punch, and if you have one, a binder clip to hold your whole project together is really helpful. So go ahead and gather all of this up and we'll get started making our anglerfish. Before we start making our simple circuit, there's just a few things that we're going to need to know. The first thing is that this can also be called a series circuit, and every good circuit needs just three things. The first thing that every good circuit needs is a power source. So in our case, we have this battery here. This is what's going to give our circuit electricity. Then we need a conductor, and for that we have this copper tape here that'll allow our electricity to travel around our circuit. And finally, we have this LED, or light emitting diode, and that's exactly what this little diode will do. It's going to shine bright and make our art project really special. Now, the other thing that we need to know is that both our LEDs, our light emitting diode, and our batteries have positive and negative terminals, or positive and negative ends. For the battery, the positive side is marked with a plus, and the negative side is marked with a minus. One side is positive, and the other side is negative. For our LEDs, we can see that the wires are two different lengths. And this longer wire, right here on the left, that is our positive terminal, and the shorter wire is our negative terminal. So we're going to keep all of that in mind, have our template, as well as our power source, conductor, and load or payoff. Then we can start making our paper circuit. Now that we've learned a little bit about how our paper circuit is going to work, it's time to actually lay down our copper tape and start the groundwork of our project. So this copper tape will peel off of the backing and go right onto our paper. Our first and most important rule of applying the copper tape is that under no circumstances, except for when I tell you, do we want to cut the tape. It can be really tempting to just make a straight line, cut the tape, make another straight line, and cut the tape again the whole way around our square for our circuit, but that actually won't make a very good circuit because the metal of the tape does conduct electricity, but the adhesive side doesn't do such a good job. So we always want to make sure that all of our pieces of our circuit are touching the copper tape side of our circuit, and we do not want to cut or disrupt our circuit at any point. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our copper tape, peel off some of the backing, and we're just going to line it up right along our circuit trail. Now, we do want to extend this piece into this battery side just a little bit, like that there. And then we're going to go the whole way to this corner. Now, you might say, Mr. Alex, you said not to cut it, so how are we going to get around this corner? And the answer is that we're going to fold our tape. So we just want to manipulate our tape in a way that it folds over itself, and I'm actually going to pull it back and up, just like this. And then I can continue our trail down the side of our project. Now, as you can see, I am no longer lined up with our trail on our simple circuit diagram, and that is a-okay. It's more important that we folded the tape correctly, made this nice sharp corner, because we're going to repeat it at this corner as well. So again, we'll just gently maneuver the tape around, fold it back, and then keep going down the next side of our project. Now, even though I said that we did not want to cut our circuit tape at any point, we are going to make one cut. And that is that we're going to cut this side where our LED is going to go. And the reason for this is that we actually want to direct the electricity of our circuit up into our LED, or light emitting diode, so that it will light up. So once I have this portion of our circuit done and cut off, it should look something like this. Again, with these nice folded corners instead of cutting it and continuing. Then we're going to go ahead and start down the other side of our project. So once again, we'll just peel back some of the adhesive on our copper tape. And once we've got it started, we're just going to recreate exactly what we did before down the other side of our project. Remember that as long as you are folding your corners correctly, that is the most important thing. If your template does not quite line, or if your circuit does not quite line up with our template, that is a-okay. But we're just going to go ahead and make the continuation of our circuit. So we'll go ahead and continue down the whole way into our battery. Now, it is important that our circuit ends inside of this circle where the positive terminal of the battery is marked. So if yours doesn't do that, you may have to do what I'm doing here and sort of guide it back on track right onto our target. Then, once we've reached our copper tape back into the battery terminal, we can go ahead and snip that other end off. And that's going to give us something that looks like this. So again, we have a circuit that starts here, goes up around, stops at our LED, continues on the other side of our LED, and back down to the other terminal of our battery. Now, the last thing that we're going to do is that we're going to connect our LED to our circuit. Now, as I mentioned before, the longer end of our LED is the positive side, and the positive side is marked in our diagram of what part of our circuit that needs to be on. So we're going to match those up, and we are actually, before we tape down our LED, going to just bend it a little bit. We're going to very gently, without breaking the wires or the LED, fold it so that it's facing upward like this. Then we can go ahead and split these wires, making sure that they're on the right sides of our project. If they're on the wrong side of our project, like mine were there, then you can bend your LED the other way, but we need to make sure that they line up with the longer wire touching the positive side of our circuit and the shorter wire touching the negative side. So now you might ask yourself, well, how are we going to attach our LED to our circuit? And that's where our extra copper tape really comes in handy. So we can just go ahead and cut two small pieces of our copper tape and attach it over the wires of our LED to the rest of our circuit. Now, remember I said that the adhesive side of the tape doesn't do such a good job of conducting electricity, but it does do a great job of sticking. So while it will not allow the power to go up into our LED, that's what we need this copper tape here for, it is going to hold it in place, which will really help us out. So I'm just going to cut another second shorter piece and put it on our LED, making sure that the positive and negative terminals are in the right places. So now I have something that looks like this. The last thing that we're going to do is along this line here, we're going to go ahead and fold our corner of our paper over like this. And once we put our battery into our circuit and touch each end of the copper tape on the terminal marks to the correct terminal of the battery, it should light up. The diagram says to put the battery on top of the copper tape with the negative side, so that's going to be the side that looks like this, face down on our circuit. Then, whenever we press our copper together, the LED will light up. And we've made a successful circuit. So at this point, there are a couple of things that you can do. The first thing that I recommend is getting your binder clip, because what you're going to want to do is hold that LED into place, take your binder clip, and clip it over the battery. This is going to leave your LED constantly in the on position. Now, eventually your LED will wear out or your battery will die, and we don't want that. So if we ever want to remove the power from our circuit, we can just take the clip off and let go of the paper, causing this piece of copper tape to disconnect from the terminal on our battery. But for right now, I want our LED lit up, so I am just going to take our binder clip and reapply it. If you don't have a binder clip at home, that can be okay. There are plenty of other things that you can use, such as tape, or you can just make it a switch where you can leave your paper folded, and every time you press down, it will allow the power to travel through your circuit. But whatever you choose to do, it is now time for what I think is one of the most exciting parts of our project, and that is decorating it. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we want to trim the top of our paper off where it says simple circuits, but we don't want to trim so far down that our LED isn't connected to the paper anymore. So about this much should be fine. Then we're going to go ahead and we are going to take our piece of paper and a marker or a pencil, and we're going to mark about where the LED is. So for this project, the LED is right here. Then, once we have our mark of where our LED is, we can take a hole punch or any other way that you choose to make a hole in your project and punch out that space where the LED should be. This is going to allow the LED to shine through our paper, just like this. And at this point, we can trim the bottom of our paper off as well. So just like we trimmed the top off, we can see where we have excess paper and trim that off as well. Now, at this point, I may want to reattach my binder clip. So I'm just going to fold this edge under, crease it off nicely, and clip our battery into place. So now what I've created is essentially a blank canvas with our LED lit up. Now you can see mine flickering a bit, and that means that we don't have great contact with the battery terminals. So I may want to adjust my binder clip or my battery, or even check and reapply some copper tape if needed. But once our LED is lit up, it is time to decorate. And while you can draw absolutely anything that you want for your project, you can make something totally unique. Since we have our Oceans of Possibilities theme, I think it would be really cool to turn this light into an anglerfish. So we're going to go ahead and doodle one now. And now we have one cool anglerfish with our lit up LED as the centerpiece for our project. We can also decorate the rest of our background as well, maybe adding a few bubbles or even some other fish. But regardless of what you draw, I'm sure that your art project will be unique. Well, friends, after learning a lot about how circuits work and making our own anglerfish paper circuit, I feel really bright, just like our LED. But more importantly, I'd like to see how your project turned out. So if you're tracking your summer reading progress on Beanstack, then be sure to send us a photo using the Summer Reading Shutterbug badge. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for updates not only about Art Attack, but everything else that we do here at the library. And as always, happy crafting, everybody! Friends, are you also participating in our summer reading program on Beanstack and using it to track your reading hours and activities? If you are, then you'll definitely want to enter the code to show that you've completed one of our Art Attack projects, and that code is Manatee. You'll see it right here on the screen, so be sure to enter it for your Beanstack badge and some prize tickets that you can enter into our drawings before August 6th.